Erik Prince, a former U.S. Navy officer and founder of the American private military company, Blackwater, expressed the opinion that African countries should undergo recolonization due to their leaders' perceived corruption and selfishness. Prince shared this perspective in a brief clip posted on X by Africa Fact Zone, suggesting that if African nations struggle with self-governance, it's time for them to be invaded once again. In the clip, Prince conveyed his belief that Africans face challenges in governing themselves because their leaders prioritize personal gain over the welfare of their citizens. He asserted that if incapable leaders persist, it is justified to reimpose foreign governance, stating, "It is time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say we are going to govern those countries if you are incapable of governing yourself because enough is enough." Responding to the question of whether he was advocating for colonialism, Prince affirmed, "Absolutely, yes."
And if so many of these countries around the world are incapable of governing themselves, then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You could say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of actually making their country a better
People on the left,
land.
they're going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Erik Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely. Yes. Enough. Because if you go to these countries and you see how they suffer under absolutely corrupt, made-up governments that are just criminal syndicates.
During the 19th and 20th centuries, European powers, including Britain, France, Spain, Portugal, and others, engaged in the scramble for and colonization of African territories. It is worth pointing out that Erik Prince has a company called Blackwater that in 2019 was registered to operate in Congo DRC with only one goal in mind, which is looting the natural resources of Congo DRC that includes minerals and timber. Telling the world that African countries should be recolonized for failing to develop or govern themselves when his company and others from the West are corruptly enriching themselves with Africa's natural resources points to nothing but his arrogance and his criminal mind. He is forgetting that the corrupt systems in Africa have been designed by Western powers to facilitate the exploitation of Africa's natural resources in a manner that enriches the West while impoverishing the people of Africa. Erik Prince should also be told, in case he does not know, that Africa is not yet fully independent and that the struggle for full independence has remained an ongoing battle. In June of 2019, it was reported by Reuters that a company run by private security firm Blackwater's founder Erik Prince had registered a subsidiary in Democratic Republic of Congo with a mandate to extract minerals and timber and conduct financial operations, corporate filings show. Prince, who renamed Blackwater and sold it in 2010 after several of its employees were indicted on unlawful killing charges in connection with their work as U.S. government contractors during the Iraq War, has run Hong Kong-based Frontier Services Group, FSG, since 2014. FSG has close ties to the state-owned Chinese investment company CITIC and provides security, aviation and logistics services to Chinese firms operating in Africa. FSG has owned a small Congolese trucking company called Cheetah Logistics in Congo since 2015, but the new subsidiary, Frontier Services Group Congo, has a more expansive mandate, according to a filing with Congo's business registry. Among its aims are the exploration, exploitation and commercialization of minerals, forest logging, security, transport, construction and all financial, investment and project financing operations, both public and private. The filing shows Frontier Services Group Congo was registered on the 20th of August of 2018 and formally established on the 13th November of 2018. FSG did not respond to a request for comment. In its 2018 annual report, released in April, it listed Congo, Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia as countries it had identified for investment in connection with China's Belt and Road Global Development Strategy. Besides his work for FSG, Prince has been pushing a plan to deploy a private army to help topple Venezuela's socialist president, Nicolas Maduro, sources with knowledge of the effort told Reuters in April. He has also tried unsuccessfully to convince the Trump administration to replace U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan with security contractors. FSG owns aviation companies based in Kenya and Malta and provides security training to companies in China. It says it is also active in more than a dozen countries in Asia, Africa, and Europe. Prince told the Financial Times earlier this year he was aiming to raise up to $500 million through a new fund to invest in mining metals like cobalt, copper, and lithium that are needed for electric car batteries. Congo accounts for roughly 60% of the world's cobalt output and is Africa's largest producer of copper. Chinese companies have snapped up valuable concessions in recent years as Western firms reduce their footprint in Congo, which is mired by armed conflict and political instability. Blackwater, which Prince founded in 1997, was contracted by the U.S. State Department to provide security during the Iraq War. In 2007, Blackwater employees shot and killed 17 Iraqi civilians in Baghdad. One of the employees involved was convicted of murder in December and 3 others have been convicted of manslaughter. Blackwater agreed in 2010 to pay $42 million in fines for hundreds of violations of U.S. export rules, including making unauthorized proposals to train troops in southern Sudan. The company now operates as Virginia-based academy.